Hey, happy Monday. Uh, See everybody's here. Um, yeah, got a new haircut. What's that? Yeah, look at that. Shorter. Yeah, yeah, I'm getting tired of being called a hippie. Um, yeah, so this is a good Monday. I have page two almost done of Max Burger. Um, and Yeah, I've been working on that pretty hard. I worked on it all day yesterday on Father's Day. Yeah, yeah. Inks are coming up. Um, I'm just looking at it right now. I've got a few um, lines to finish off, some darken. Then I take it off the board and I'll start another one. So, yeah. And I think I started it. When did I start it? The 20th. So, it would have been 2 days to get it done. I probably could have had it done yesterday if I didn't have some other things to do. So it would have took me a day to get it done. Yeah. So how is everybody doing? Everybody have a good weekend. It is a Monday as I'm recording this. We got some new news coming up. I am working on an old story of mine. The gentleman has got a few pages done for me. So, yeah. Um, yeah, that's coming along soon. He's got a couple pages done already. Yeah. So, looking at some stuff here. And we'll do a review of Stargirl episode 6. I just watched that today. So I'm caught up. I don't have to see it some other day and read the spoilers and stuff. So let's get into it. So he says he begins his review with saying, "Hi everyone, it's AZ here from Heels versus Babyface with my Stargirl Season 1 Episode 6 review that nobody is watching at all. After Episode 3, everyone dropped off, clearly not getting into the show." He continues, "Well, I'll tell you what, after 1 minute and 14 seconds of this episode, I was done. I was done. And then I let it play out a little longer. I did actually take a break, and it was still stupid." AZ then mimics the theme song, a theme music for the show, and states, I guess it stars and states. I'm not sure. Maybe they got that wrong. Then they absolutely fantastic. Then it had a absolutely fantastic scene, and then there was some goofy stuff, some bad stuff, and there was some really good stuff, and then there was some good stuff, and then there was some good stuff. So I thought after 1 minute and 14 seconds, I was done. It was really probably done, but this ended up being not a bad episode. Not a bad episode. I know it seems like a faint praise, but we get into it. He adds, um, Stargirl season 1 continues with episode 7, Shive Part 1. So I did watch it. I didn't think it was too bad. Thought it was okay. And yeah, it could have been a little. Well, I don't know if it could have been any better. The show. Production looks really good. It looks way better than what the Flash looks like. Way better than kind of like what Arrow used to look at it like in the beginning, the production values. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't painful. So yeah. So if you haven't seen Stargirl yet, go and check it out. Star shows Brannick Bassinger as Courtney Whitmore, aka Stargirl. She's joined by Yvette Monreal as Montez, aka Wildcat. Check it out. Should be able to stream it if you have the streaming service for the CW. So, how's everybody doing today? Just going to try to find some more news here on Bounding in the Comics, in case somebody have seen yet. Yeah, there was a big thing about the Captain America statue in some game. Marvel's apologizing for insensitive Captain America statue tweet. The official Marvel Avengers Twitter handle issued an apology for sharing a tweet encouraging the followers to download an image of a statue of Captain America in Heroes Park. Earlier this week, as reported by One Angry Gamer, Marvel's Avengers published a tweet reading, "Heroes Park once celebrate the Avengers, but it has since been defaced." The tweet continues, despite the AIM drones that surveil the area, there's still people who believe and pay the respect to Captain America. Then they shared this image, encouraged the followers to download it. Download this video conference background here. I don't know. It's just a virtual statue. It's not a real statue. I don't know what's with people. Yeah. After bombarded by the Twitter mob, Marvel's Avengers deleted the tweet and then issued apologies. They wrote, "We've heard your response to our recent post and agree that now was not the appropriate time to share this content from our game." They added, "We apologize for being insensitive." It's unclear what's insensitive about the tweet. Marvel's Avengers does not give an explanation. YouTuber AZ from Heels vs. Babyface describes Marvel's Avengers actions as stupid people doing stupid things. What do you make of Marvel's deleting their Captain America statue tweet? Did you think the tweet was insensitive? Like, it's not a real statue or anything. We're not allowed to have any more fun anymore. It seems like everybody's trying to kill all the good stuff that we used to know about, like Star Trek is destroyed, Star Wars is destroyed. They're destroying our comic books. Yeah, so I'm looking at some stuff here. I'm just going to pull up some here in a minute to read. And this is some old news. This is about talking about Jeremy Griggs of Geeks and Gamers getting blocked on Twitter. or suspended. Twitter suspends Jerry Riggs of Geeks and Gamers. Here's one here about Amber Heard. Several members of Amber Heard's legal team withdraw from Johnny Depp's defamation case, including Time's Up attorney Robert Kaplan. Aquaman star Amber Heard was suffered a major blow to the defense team representing her in the ongoing defamation case brought against her ex-husband Johnny Depp, as several members have withdrawn themselves from the case, including prominent LGBT rights lawyer and Time's Up Legal Defense Fund founder Robert Kaplan. According to documents obtained by celebrity news site The Blast, Kaplan, along with attorneys John Quinn, founder of Precious law firm Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan LLP, seasoned California attorney David Brooke and Kathleen Heckler and Fink LLP partner Julie Fink. The filing states that the undersigned movies for entry of an order preventing Robert Kaplan, John Quinn, Julie Fink, Dava Brooke to withdraw as counsel of record for defendant Amber Laura Heard. It also names Heard new legal representative, stating the actress has retained the services of another trial counsel licensed in Virginia, Elaine Bredhoff, and not noting that all withdrawing counsels are currently admitted to pro-half advice, and Miss Heard will be represented by the undersigned Virginia counsel. The documents also detail Miss Heard does not object to the withdrawing counsel and endorsed the proposed order granting leave to withdraw. When reached for comment, a spokesperson for Kaplan, Heckler, and Fink LLP told The Blast that they believe Heard accusations that found COVID-19 related travel and logistics to be a major hindrance to the petition in the case. We believe Amber, and we believe in Amber. We believe Amber, and we believe in Amber. We have been proud to serve as Amber's counsel in the strange and unexpected circumstances of today's world, as travel and logistics have become more costly in light of the pandemic. We understand the decision to move the case to local Virginia-based trial counsel. However, Depp's attorney Adam Waldman believes that the withdrawal is a move of self-protection, speculating that his lawyers are attempting to unhitch themselves from Ms. Heard's long disapproved frauds and vowing to discover why. For years, Time's Up, Pound Time's Up, and others inexplicably hitched their wagons to Amber Heard's abuse hoax. Miss Heard's lawyer, one who co-founded the Pound Time's Up legal defense fund, have now apparently unhitched from Miss Heard's long disputed frauds. We intended to discover why. Depp's legal team is currently investigating a trail of massive ACLU and Children's Hospital Los Angeles donation Heard made with her divorce settlement, hoping to uncover the relationship between Heard and the ACLU. Hey, David, welcome to the stream. Hey, we're gonna have to get you on as a guest here sometime. Yeah, because I'd like to talk to you about Perfect 10. Yeah, Perfect 10 would be cool to be talked about on here. Any other projects that you're doing? Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about your writing process and stuff like that. Unless you want to come, if you feel like you want to come on now, we can do it now, or we can do some other time. Well, that'd be great. So it looks like it's a slow week in comics. Well, there's some stuff here that I see stuff here for, but I'm not into games and stuff like that. So, and it looks like some stuff has been in the past already. There's rumors going around that Jeffrey D. Morgan wants again in the running to play Flashpoint Batman in Flash. So I think that's I think he played the comedian in The Watchmen, and he played Bruce Wayne's dad in Batman v Superman, I think it was. Yeah, we'll set up a time. Just send me David. Just send me a message, or I'll send you a message later on, and we'll chat about it. Okay, we'll work out something. Yeah, I'd love to have you on the show. But anyway, the Flash is reporting back on track enough to re-enter production, and not knowing the film is adapting, and knowing the film is adapting Flashpoint, the 2011 arc by Jeff Johns may also be on the track again, including a wide array of DC characters like the Batman, who was Thomas Wayne under the hood. This could mean someone familiar with that role is returning to the fold. Thomas Polito of the Cinema Spot writes, Dean Morgan is circling the role, but last we heard formal talks have not yet begun. He adds that it could change. Polito tweeted after he was later that he has been working on the story since last month and changed the focus before publishing. Morgan, who was the gunned down Thomas Wayne in the Batman v Superman, isn't guaranteed, and yet his talks they start could fall through. JDM stirred the fandom on this very issue as 2009 faded into 2020. He put on his comedian mask from Watchmen for a selfie teasing a masked comeback, though that could apply to anything. It got fans talking again about the Walking Dead star donning the cape and cowl. Morgan has shown interest in the past few years in playing the Flashpoint Dark Knight. He concluded that DC's Paradox Universe on Jimmy Kimmel in 2017. He had the unfortunate duty of reporting at San Diego Comic-Con 2018. Any hope of a Flashpoint adaptation was dashed as long as Zack Snyder wasn't in the picture, Morgan said at the time. When Zack Snyder was involved with the DC Universe more, I think there was a real possibility, but now he's kind of stepped away a little bit. I heard different things that Flashpoint might not be going in that direction. It might be an origin story for the Flash. that was the last we heard about the Flash adapting Flashpoint and Batman being part of it for quite a while. Warner Brothers seems to be going in a different direction until Helmer, Andy Michelli came in aboard and announced they were doing the story, just a different way. When rumors swirl, JDM will be Batman in your movie, as many speculated years ago, and Ray Fisher is returning in a sidebar. We're left wondering how different Machete Birds of Prey scribe Christina Hudson take is going to be. Star Ezra Miller recently brushed with a scandal, complicated things for a bit, but it looks like he can still have him suiting up and rejoining the Speed Force to turn back time. I don't think Flash. I don't think his Flash is going to. Jeffrey Morgan is going to be the Flash. It's still Ezra Miller. I think Morgan is just. He's going to be Thomas Wayne. I don't know if you read the Flashpoint series. When Flash went back and changed time, saved his mother from dying, Thomas Wayne became Batman. His son, I think his son and wife died or something, so he became Batman instead. So yeah, no, Jeffrey. I don't know if I like Ezra Miller as the Flash. The only thing I liked him in was the Crisis, when he appeared with Barry Allen of the CW Flash, Grant Gustin. Now that was a funny little piece they had there, but I wasn't really like I said, fussy of Ezra as the Flash. He I don't think he looks like the Flash. It'd be nice if we could get somebody to look a little bit like. The only one I thought was best as the Flash was John Wesley Shipp. Now, John Wesley Shipp is too old to play the Flash, but he did play an older version of the Flash in the as a lookalike over in Another Earth. That would be I'm trying to think of his name now. Brain is going blank. Jay Garrett. And it looks like I heard they're letting people do movies now, but there's supposed to be all kinds of restrictions. They're supposed to be behind plexiglass and some other stuff. I don't know where I heard that. I think I heard it on YouTube or something. And I guess there's inspectors in there to make sure that everything's going well. Once these inspectors go, they would take away the plexiglass and stuff like that. I don't know how the special effects are going to take out the plexiglass and stuff like that. Here's an interesting one: a comic book subreddit bans Mike Baron's Florida Man, Indiegogo. Comic book subreddit that has over 1.2 million subscribers banned the promotion of Mike Barron and Todd Maroney's Florida Man, Indiegogo. Florida Man, an editor-in-chief of Bleeding Fool, Chris Barely, posted a link to the Indiegogo in the comic book subreddit and subsequently received an indication that the post has been removed by moderators. The reason for removal read, moderators remove this post from feeds for a variety of reasons, including keeping community safe, civil, and true to their purpose. It says here, the first crowdfunding comic I ever truly wanted, Mike Barron Nexus Badger the Flash, just dropped the funniest comic concept I have ever seen in a while. I hope it makes it. It's to the Bleeding Fool post or something. It says here, Braley would go on to receive personal ban for daring to even post the Florida Man comic book Indiegogo in the comic book subreddit. They cited this reason for being banned as ComicGate support. As asked why he was banned, a monitor responded writing, ComicGate support is not tolerated on this subreddit, such as a pro-ComicGate website like Bleeding Fool and ComicGate-led crowdfunding campaign like those from Chris Braley. You've been permanently banned from participation. You've been permanently banned from participation in our comic books. You can still view and subscribe to comic books, but you won't be able to post comments. Note from the moderators, ComicGate support. If you have a question regarding your ban, you can contact the moderator team for r/comic books by replying to this message. A reminding from the Reddit staff, if you use another account to circumvent this subreddit ban, that will be considered a violation of the content policy and can result in your account being suspended from the site as whole. Bleeding Fool makes a comment here. It says, I'm not sure how this works. What did I do to get banned? I thought it was cool. And there's a reply here. It says, ComicGate support is not tolerated by this subreddit, such as pro-ComicGate websites like Bleeding Fool and ComicGate lead crowdfunding campaign like those from Chris Braley. The comic books Reddit rule number 1, be civil, ban support for ComicGate. It reads, racial, sexual, tongue is not working again today. Homophobic or cultural slurs will result in a permanent ban. Do not disparage the differently bleeded or threatened or incite harm against others, creators, or industry professionals. And then specifically mentions ComicGates, describing the popular movement as a hate group. Any form of bigotry or support of hate groups, such as ComicGate, will not be permitted. While debate and differing views are encouraged, please keep all discussions on topic and do not resort to personal attacks. As general rules, don't be a jerk. The rule continues. Individuals of every demographic are important and deserve representation, both in media and as creators behind media. Deliberately propaganda forms belittling the wants and needs of other individuals and similar complaints about forced diversity have no place in this community. It concludes, posts with comments, patterns meeting certain negative criteria, such as excessive amounts of rule-breaking comments, may be locked down at the moderator's team discretion. Rule 1: be civil. Racial, sexual, homophobic, or cultural slurs will result in a permanent ban. Do not disparage the difference, bleed, or threaten, incite harm against other users, creators, or industry professionals. Any form of bigotry or support of hate groups such as ComicGates is not permitted. While debate and differing views are encouraged, please keep all discussion on topic and do not resort to personal attacks. As general rule, do not be a jerk. Individuals of every demographics are important and deserve representation, both in media and as creator beyond media. Deliberately propaganda forms of erasure, belittling, and the wants and needs of other individuals, and similar complaints about forced diversity have no place in this community. Posts with comment patterns meeting with certain negative Soretta is excessive amounts of rule-breaking comments may be locked at moderation team's discretion. The comic book Soretta subreddit also appears to have approved source for websites for comic book news. Chris Bradley issued a statement in Bounding into Comics in response to comic book subredding banning promotion of Florida Man. It begins, I think it's the most annoying part of this, that creators like Mike Barron and Todd Maroney just want to create comics and get them out there. It's a shame that an anonymous moderator with an illogical axe to grind can deplatform a user just because they disagree with something that is written elsewhere online. The statement continues, the trend of deplatforming is only one component of a broader crisis of free speech happening online through America. Bradley continued, at Bleeding Fool, our comment sections are open. We don't ban people unless they're being repeatedly abusive. We have dozens of contributors who post their own opinions, and some of them contrary to one another. It is a pity a site like Reddit isn't more inclusive of all perspective, so dialogue and reason could prevail. But I was warned that the moderators at Reddit are terrible, so I suppose I could expect this, he continued. Florida Man tells the story of Gary Daba's bad day. He got a snake in his toilet, a raccoon in his yard, and his girl Crystal is in jail for getting naked and licking the manager of a Waffle Castle. In order to get his girl out of jail, Daba turns to his best friend Floyd as the two set out to sell Daba's Barry Bonds rookie card in order to pay for Crystal's bill. And if you couldn't guess it, things are about to go wrong. Florida Man has currently raised $3,559 from 74 backers on Indiegogo. It has a goal of $7,500. There is 42 days left to back this campaign. That is terrible. When you're, you want to come out and put some, good fun comic books out, and you get banned off platform, Reddit, it's hard to, if you're afraid to write anything, I've had people come after me, not writing this certain type of person. And I'm like, I write for me. I don't write whatever I see in my head. That's what I write down. I think this is pretty funny. This book, that Florida Man. Um, I don't see any indication that Comic-Gate. I see nothing wrong with Comic-Gate. All they want to do is good comic books without agenda. They don't want to, if they want to write a gay person in, that's fine. That's what they want to do. But not have somebody dictate them and tell them that they need to write gay people in the story. Simple fact is that, if your story works out the way it's supposed to be, and somebody comes in and says, well, we'd like you to put in this X person or this person, then you have to try to, it's like a deck of cards, and you have to reshuffle your cards and then try to work everything that you had perfectly lined up. Even if it's a third act story, your third act story gets thrown out of whack. And I think it's ridiculous that people do this. It's stupid. Maybe I'll go and back the thing just for just hearing that. Well, this looks interesting here. Rumor that Alpha Flight is to make a cinematic appearance in Wolverine versus Hulk movie before spun off to Disney Plus. So a new rumor details that Marvel Comics Alpha Flight team will appear in a Wolverine versus Hulk movie before being spun off to Disney Plus. This new rumor comes from Mickey Sutton in his Geeksology Facebook group. Sutton begins by outlining the initial plot overview of Wolverine versus Hulk fight and an Alpha Flight involvement. He writes, in the show, they have him surrounded, a savage creature with claws, after Weapon X is liberated from Department K by the X-Men. He participates in one of their missions, but does not join the team, as I report in an earlier scoop. Logan is still a wanted man. He is considered government property, and therefore country's own Avengers named Alpha Flight has sent to hunt him down, he continues. Sutton then lists off the Alpha Flight members of the Alpha Flight: Vindicator, North Star, Aurora, Puck, Sketchwatch, Shama, and Snowbird. He then teases the involvement of the Hulk, but trying to net Wolverine is one thing, a major problem. Unfortunately, there is an incredible one Alpha Flight that are caught in the crossfire, as the Hulk is in Canada, as well in full rage mode. Sutton then details that while Alpha Flight might be introduced in this Wolverine versus Hulk movie, Marvel Studios has other plans for them on Disney Plus. He explains Marvel Studios does not think that Alpha Flight has the makings of a cinematic franchise. There's too many toys in the box to play with, and only enough time. But they would like to see them in the Wolverine movie, where he fights the Hulk, which I scooped here was almost a year ago now. This is about old news. Marvel Studios sees the potential of Alpha Flight for Disney Plus after appearing in a Wolverine movie. The Canadian setting will be fresh and less expensive to shoot, not to mention that the cast is diverse from the beginning. Even Marvel Comics' first openly gay superhero, North Star, he adds. Sutton concludes they have the potential to have both the explosive action of the Avengers and social conscience of the X-Men. As Sutton mentions in this new scoop, he previously detailed that Marvel Studios was looking at developing a Hulk versus Wolverine showdown in a feature film. Back in September, Sutton exclusively detailed the Lords of the Long Box YouTube channel that the Marvel Studios is discussing a Wolverine versus Hulk film. Notice I placed Wolverine ahead this won't be a Hulk movie because Universal has the rights to Hulk Solo, which is why Thor Ragnarok wasn't Planet Hulk. He added that this version would be the recent Immortal Hulk rendition. According to my inside source, they want to use the recent Immortal Hulk renderings of the character in comic books. Just a few short days after this, Wolverine versus Hulk scoop sudden then detailed more information about the film, explaining again to Lords of the Longbox that the film would introduce Alpha Flight. Lords of the Longbox host Tim Vo explained the immortal Hulk will not be alone when fighting Weapon X into the Canadian wilderness. So the story is that throughout some they were going to get sent to the Hulk into Canada to revive Wolverine. When he shows up in Canada to get Wolverine, he's going to meet up with Alpha Flight. Vo added that Alpha Flight is rumored to be in the Hulk versus Wolverine movie. Alpha Flight is also searching for him, so they don't get the impression that the Hulk will get along with them. What do you make of this scoop? Would you be interested in seeing Alpha Flight getting their own Disney Plus series? Hey, Sean! Long time. I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Yeah. So what do you think of the Hulk or the Hulk versus Wolverine? And they're talking about doing some Alpha Flight stuff, which is a John Byrne project that he did a while back. Rumor: Michael Keaton is to play Batman in the Flash movie. Well, that'll be interesting. So I don't know what time you got here, Sean, but talking about Florida Man. They're calling Florida Man Comicsgate on this one website called Reddit, I believe it was called, and they accuse him of being Comic-Gate and don't want to have any comments from a hate group. They feel that Comic-Gate. I don't know if you know that much about Comic-Gate, but there's a lot of people think that Comic-Gate is a hate group, which what I understand is not. I have a good friend on Facebook who I like supporting his stuff, Dan Frega. He's part of Comicsgate, and he is a nice guy, a very nice guy. He wouldn't get involved in anything that would involve a hate group against, different races and sexuality and stuff like that. Yeah, that would be nice. The Cino Alpha Flight into live action, but they're taking it into Disney Plus. Then they don't think Alpha Flight on its own will do really well in box office, so it'll be better off in the into Disney Plus, I guess. Well, I'll get to see the, well, maybe hopefully they'll shoot in Vancouver or some, and we can. I can go. Oh, I know where that is. They put Marina in there. She's from. What's going on with Warren Ellis? Yeah. If you get a check it out. Just Mike talking about the Florida Man. I guess it's based on a real story or something. And guy's girlfriend or something gets thrown into jail or some and some weird stuff, some snakes and stuff like that. So you got to raise a bunch of money to get her out or something. But yeah, the whole Comicsgate thing. See, Ethan Van Sciver, he's tired of working for, getting forced to write and draw, like he does. What I understand, he doesn't want to draw these characters that he's unhappy with. We're not unhappy with. Being forced to draw that he doesn't like. He wants to do the fun stories that used to be of the past, and we're too much into the politics stuff, into stories. We want these. I want to see fun and imaginative stories that you get to read and have fun with, and there's no agenda behind it. That you got to have this person and you got to have this person and you got to have that. And that's what Comic-Gate is. But let me read here about the rumor that Michael Keaton to play Batman. That's kind of strange, because if it's going to be a Flash, the Flash movie, and it's going to be Flashpoint. I just read about Morgan talking about reprising his role. He's going to be Thomas Wayne in the Flashpoint movie, playing Thomas Wayne as Batman. But it says here that the new rumor details that Michael Keaton is in recent talks into playing Batman in the upcoming Flash film. The rumor comes from the Wrap, who detail after nearly 30 years, Michael Keaton's in the talk to return the role of Batman. They added that that talks with Keaton are in very early stages. It is far from a sure thing, and can go either way. The Wrap is also indicated that they did not know how big or small Keaton's role as Batman would be. While they don't have a lot of details on Keaton's role on Batman, they did prove some information on the actual Flash film. The Wrap's Umbrero Gozes, I probably chopped up his name wrong anyway, explains that the film will be introduced a general honors to the idea of the multiverse, one of the core concepts underpinning DC Comics. The Flash film has been turbulent, to say at least, the least, going through several directors before landing on IT director Andy Muschietti. Muschietti explained back in January that the film would be adapting the Flashpoint storyline. However, he explained it would be a different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. Muschiett's sister, Barbara Muschietti, would provide further details, explaining they would be begun working on the film back in April. As far as rumors, they range from Joe Malegno, who played Deathstroke in Justice League, showing up in the film. He hinted that possibly an Instagram post with Aquaman Jason Momoa using the Flashpoint, using hashtag Flashpoint. However, he would later remove it, the hashtag, from the post. The most recent rumor indicates that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was also circling the film to potentially reprise his role as Thomas Wayne from Justice League. Keaton hasn't been a stranger to superhero films recently, appearing in Spider-Man: Homecoming as Adrian Toomes, aka Vulture. He will also be appearing in the Morbius. Throughout, it's unclear what role he will be playing. Speculation indicates that he will be reprising his role as a Vulture. What do you make of this new rumor? Are you interested in seeing Keaton return to the role of Batman in the Flash film? Yeah, yeah, like you just can't force writers and artists to to do this stuff. Um, yeah, a lot of stories Marvel and DC is not like they used to be. I don't know. I think I think it was in the late '80s. Like I still get comic books. I go out, I'll buy Flash. I haven't bought a lot of Marvel stuff. I've been buying a lot of DC. I've been buying. I've been buying the Banderas Superman stuff. The only thing I'm liking about it is the JR's artwork. But the stories are not really grabbing me. The best stories I really liked was when John Byrne was doing it, and Marv Wolfman. They were doing the what was it? The Adventures of Superman, and it wasn't just there was one just called Superman. Yeah, I think it was about 4 titles. Wasn't there a Superman at one point? Yeah, I think it was yeah, there was Action Comics. Action Comics, The Adventures of Superman. Yeah, The Adventures of Superman. And what else was there? Action Superman, The Adventures of Superman. I know there was like 3 or 4 of them. I thought there was 4 titles. They all kind of tied in. But they were well written. So the only Marvel you buy is Spider-Man. You're talking about the Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, I thought there was 4 too. Action is Superman because I think John Byrne was doing Superman. The Adventures of Superman, wasn't that done by Marv Wolfman? It's got to be I'm trying to look for a list here on Google. Okay, so The Adventures of Superman. The Adventures of Superman was an original volume 1 of Superman. It ran titled as The Adventures of from 1987 to 2006. Issues 424 to 649 and a 0 issue October 1994. Published between issues 516 and 517, and during the 0 Hour Crisis in Time crossover event, and a 1000 issue November 1998, published between issues 562 and 563 during the DC 1 million. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Then there was Superman Volume 2, ran from 1987 to 2006, ending with issue 222. It was the first launch after John Byrne revamped Superman. The series included an issue zero issue, October 1994, published between issues 93 and 94 during the 0 hour, the Crisis in Time crossover event. Superman the Man of Steel, similar to the miniseries The Man of Steel. However, The Man of Steel was printed in 1986, whereas the series was printed from 91 to 2003, ending in issue 134. The series included a zero issue, and that was published between issue 37 and 38 during the 0 hour Crisis in Time crossover. And then there was Superman the Man of Tomorrow. It was a series published from the summer of 1995 to 99 to the fall of 99, ending in issue 15. So there's a whole bunch of other ones here, but these are ones I don't recognize. They look like they're kind of short ones or something. But I definitely remember Superman the Man of Tomorrow, Superman the Man of Steel, Superman, and the Avengers of Superman. There's got to be an action in here. I know George Perez did an action comics there. Oh, you only like Peter Parker? You didn't like the other Spider-Man that they introduced? I kind of like the Ultimate Spider-Man at first, with Bagley's artwork. But I got the ambience of the Ultimate Spider-Man, so I've got a lot of stories. I don't have to go through my long boxes and go and look for them. I was kind of hoping that Keaton would have made a cameo in the Crisis series. Instead of just having Knox on the bench and seeing the bat single up in the air, you know. This is interesting. It says here, rumor, James Bond to have a daughter in No Time to Die. It says, a new rumor details that James Bond will have a 5-year-old daughter in the upcoming No Time to Die film. And the rumor comes from the Daily Mail. And this is going to be Daniel Craig's last movie. It says, rumor comes from the Daily Mail and is based off an alleged call sheet that went up on sale on eBay, as well as photos depicting a young girl in overalls on a set along the actress Leah Sadox, who plays Bond's love interest, Madame Swan Inspector. Sadox reprises her role in No Time to Die. According to the Daily Mail, the call sheet describes a scene shot in southern Italy last September, which featured Dr. Swan along with Leisha Lynch's Naomi, a child called Methide, played by a 5-year-old Lisa Deborah Son. The call sheet specifically states Naomi plots Madeline and Methide to safety with the island in the background. The set photo shows a young girl wearing a blue overalls that could be playing Matt Hyde. Along with the call sheet and set photos, the Daily Mail also cited an anonymous source that confirms that Bond will be a dad in the upcoming film. The source details, yes, it's true, Bond is a dad. Daniel wanted to make this Bond film the most surprising and entertaining yet. Daniel is older and his Bond is maturing and looking at life through the prism of fatherhood, but there's a lot more to it than that, the source says. The source added that Bond has always managed to charm his way into the hearts and beds of hundreds of women, of beautiful women, seemingly without any consequences. Making him a father opens up a whole new world in terms of drama and story development. The most interesting detail from the Daily Mail source is that the ideal Bond apparently didn't know he was a father. The source explains, Bond finding out that he's a father is an integral plot. Following this rumor, former Bond girl Britt Ekland, who played Mary Goodnight opposite Roger Moore in The Man with the Golden Gun, appeared on the Good Morning Britain and reacted to the rumor and saying, well, I think Bond should be a little bit more untouchable. He's fantasy. Bond, everyone wants to be Bond. Econ, she was asked if Bond was becoming a father ruined the fantasy. She answered, I think so. I personally think so. Barbara Bacani, a longtime producer of the Bond franchise, and Michael G. Wilson, who's a producer at Eon Production, knows better than me. She added, it would be wonderful if they turned back time to the traditional older bachelor. What do you make of this new rumor? Do you want to see James Bond as a dad? Yeah, you're talking about the crisis and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I always thought parallel worlds were always. I thought they could still play into it, but they keep destroying them. When they just do like they did originally in the past, when these characters got old and tired, just say we're gone to another dimension and we're doing the stories of the newer ones that are in another parallel Earth. Yeah. Now, Sean, did you get to see Stargirl last night? I got to see. I got to see it. Hill versus Babyface. He didn't like it too much. Then he did kind of like it. There were some cool fight scenes in it. I'm any show is going to have their hiccups. Let me see if there's anything else here. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Story details revealed. I think we were talking about last week the Spider-Man 2099. Yeah. That if it's going to be on the Disney Plus, well, I don't think it's on Disney Plus because Sony's got the rights to it. So yeah, I'm not much into. Well, I do play games, but I don't have a PlayStation 5, so maybe I should get one. They got they got a bunch of Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man games and Batman games. I'd like to try out the Batman game. Last game unit I have is the Nintendo Wii, and I got a bunch of superhero titles from that. You don't see that much on here. Yeah, I'm not going to read this one here about the game for the PlayStation. Since I don't play that. Yeah, so that Alpha Flight sounds interesting. I mean, hopefully they have a good. They're in there quite a bit in the movie along with the. It's only a 2-hour movie, but there's a lot of characters to display. And then you got the Hulk and Wolverine. So maybe they might centralize on Alpha Flight, and in searching for Wolverine, maybe they'll develop the characters a little bit more. I believe what I understand, the Guardian or Vindicator, because he started off as Guardian, and then he became Vindicator afterwards. But he's based on Captain Canuck, which is a Canadian superhero. Yeah, so character's name is Jane Hudson. Guardian is a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, created by John Byrne. The character was made first appearance in the X-Men 109, which is co-plotted by Byrne and his longtime collaborator, Chris Claremont. The character is a founding member and leader of Alpha Flight. So he had different names. He was called Weapon, Alpha, Vindicator. Nicknames are Jamie, Jimmy, Mac, Jimmy Hudson, Dr. Hudson, Anti-Guard, Major Maple Leaf. I don't know where that one came up from. I thought it was an interesting character because he could fly on magnetic waves and stuff. Oh, you started a job. Congrats. Nice. Is it the job you were applying for last week? Do you just get off from your job, or is it like hopefully it's like a morning to afternoon shift? Yeah, I don't know how the streams are going to go. I am looking for, I think I might be looking for another job. So I've been laid off for the last 4 months because of the COVID thing. So they're not calling me back. So but I got so much stuff to do. I'm working on, I'm getting the North Shield drawn up again by another artist. He's already given me, he's already drawn a couple pages already. And I'm working on issue 3 of Max Burger. I might have to put that to the side for a bit. I've got some coloring to do for Max Burger number 2. I got to launch the Indiegogo soon. I just haven't gone around to put a. I like to put a video together. I like to do something that's an old 1930s or 1940s, 50s detective like trailer. But I'm not sure how to put it together. And here's some interesting stuff about The Watchmen. The Watchmen writer Cord Jefferson says the HBO miniseries is not pro-cop. The riots and George Floyd's death led to the cancellation of shows deemed too police-friendly, like Cops and Live PD. Even children's programs as Paw Patrol are being looked at in a new light, leaving nothing immune, not even The Watchmen. Cord Jefferson, a writer of HBO's Watchmen, produced by Damien Lindelof, agrees with critics who say that the series is pro-cop. Jefferson said to Rolling Stone that the show may give viewers an impression, but that would be dispelled by episode 6. Cord Jefferson co-wrote that episode. That this extraordinary being, that unmasked hooded justice as Black Officer Will Reeves, played by Louis Gossett Jr., and Jovan Edipo, but also dealt with racism within the police force he worked for. Watchmen is centered primary on the Tusa police fighting white supremacists, the 7th Cavalry. Pretty soon it became clear that the two factions weren't as separate as everyone thought. Asked if Watchmen was presented based on what was going on across America, Jefferson answered, "It's simply a reflection of history." He also spoke about President Trump and scheduling a rally in Tucson on Saturday. The rally was initially taking place on June 10th, the day commemorating the decree freeing all slaves in Texas. Jefferson said it was disappointing but not surprised. He then called the populace and the administration cruel. He also drew a comparison between the slogan "Make America Great Again" and a speech by Watchmen character Senator Joe Keene Jr., James Wolk, about the potentium of whiteness of Watchmen's final. Other white supremacists and police brutality. Watchmen deals with tragic history of Tuska's Black Wall Street and Greenwood Massacre. HBO will be streaming Watchmen free online and on demand for Juneteenth, starting 1 p.m. Eastern. You can watch every episode whenever you want and sign up for HBO Max. Oh, cool. So your the dog watching. I guess you don't use your car that much, then you just do a lot of walking. So you're helping seniors, not looking at it wrong. I thought you said senators. Sorry, helping seniors with their dogs. Well, that sounds like an interesting job. Do you got like 3 or 4 of them you got in your hands? Or you just take one dog out at a time? Because I see some people around here, and they'll have 3, 4 dogs, and they'll have 2 leashes on one hand and 2 leashes on the other, and trying to control these 4 dogs. So what about The Watchmen? Have you ever watched The Watchmen? That sounds like I haven't seen the series, but I don't know. They just I just find that they don't get they're not as good as the comic books. Like Watchmen. Um, well, the movie wasn't too bad, but you got to look at the series. Sometimes they don't have the budget, you know. And here's a character I kind of liked, Jessica Drew, aka Spider Woman. I liked the design of the costume when I was a kid. The yellow in the center, red, yellow gloves and yellow boots, and the big white eyes and the hair flowing down. Um, I thought it was a well designed costume. It's just here that at the end of the series she was killed and resurrected and fell into a bit of obscurity, and the title of Spider Woman fell to other characters. It is a little funny with the character's history because she was originally created just to secure the IP for the character. They learned the lesson from some tobacco, not tobacco, tobacco involving the IPs of Wonder Woman, Wonder Man, Wonder Woman, Power Man, and Power Girl. So instead of passively allowing another publisher to have a swipe at a character trademark, they created Spider Woman. Like we said, Drew had 50 issues in a series that began in 1977, and she got back into it in 2007 under the Brian Michael Bendis New Avengers title. In between, we saw Julia Carpenter take on the role of Spider-Woman, only to become the next Madam Web. Maddie Franklin was also Spider-Woman for a short time in the 90s. Charlotte Witter, the granddaughter of Madam Web, had the title of Spider-Woman for the short time. She eventually devolved into a villain role. And Veranke, the Queen of the Skull Empire, shapeshifted herself to resemble Jessica Drew and served as a sleeper agent on the New Avengers in the later 2000s. She got away with it for a while before the real Jessica Drew appeared on the scene to expose her. There are other world of versions of Spider-Woman to consider. There's Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Mayday Parker, Ashley Barton, and a bunch of other versions who showed up during the Spider-Verse events by Dan Sloth and later by Brian Michael Bendis. Her creation was a collaboration effort of writer Archie Goodwin and artist Marie Severin. The first comic book she appeared in Marvel Spotlight number 32 in 1977 sold incredibly well for Marvel at the time. Archie Goodwin initially intended for the character to be a spider who evolved into human. However, that's not how her origin eventually turned out. Jessica Drew is the daughter of Jonathan Drew and Marion Drew of London, England. The family moves to Mount Wundagore, and Jessica becomes ill to radiation from uranium nearby. Her father injects her with a serum that he created from an aerated spider blood. The serum incubates in her for months while she is placed in a genetic accelerator. Her mother dies while she is recovering, and her father leaves for the States. While in the accelerator, she ages at a decelerated rate, and when she comes out decades later, she's only 17 years old. She sets out on her own, gets brainwashed by Hydra, because that's the thing that they usually do, goes by the code name Atri. It's a term for spider. I can't pronounce it for a while, and then she ends up captured by Shield, and then gloated by another Hydra agent into assassinating Nick Fury. In it was after this initial appearance that Marv Wolfman was asked to take on the character in an unknown title. Wolfman reworked Goodman's origin story plot in a 4-arc story in Marvel 2-in-1. She quits Hydra, assaults their base, gets some more brainwashing by Hydra, convincing her she was actually a spider who turned into a human, and falls back into Hydra's grasp. This made a spider origin of the character a false memory implanted by Hydra. She is trained by Taskmaster, a number of martial artists and disciplines, and there's a bunch of modifications to her backstory that substantially recons the uranium from her origin story. Mark Gerwald took on the writing duties for her solo title, and Carmine Infinio continued to do the work for the books, as did for Wolfman. He eventually stories for the character started to dry out. New writers and artists were brought in to continue her story. Drew starts a new career as a bounty hunter under writer Michael Fletcher for a short while. Chris Claremont was brought in after success with X-Men titles, and he made Drew a private investigator, very much like her namesake, Nancy Drew. By the time Grudwell returned to Marvel, as editor of this time, the sales in the series had dwindled to a point of cancellation. It ended on its 50th anniversary, our 50th issue, and Drew met her end in a battle against Morgan Le Fay. And a year later, she was resurrected after a fan backlash. The eventual resurrection happened when Doctor Strange and Magnus, the Sorcerer, intervened to get her soul back into her body, and the later and less popular Sorcerer sacrifices himself to get Jessica back, and she returns to the land of the living, Yvette without her powers. Jessica Drew continues her life and adventures in a non-costume appearance along larger comic book characters like Wolverine and Maddie Franklin, at least for a short while. She appears in the 2003 arc by Brian Michael Bendis under the Marvel Max titles. Fast forward to 2005, and Michael Bendis brings her back for some fashion as the Spider-Woman on the roster of the new Avengers team. But this Drew is actually the Skull Empress Valkyrie. We eventually discovered the real Jessica Drew has been kidnapped along with a number of other Earth heroes. After a return to the Spider-Man role, Drew eventually plays a part in the huge Spider-Man verse of 2014 by Dan Slott. She's also part of an all-female team of Spider-Women with Gwen Stacy and Silk. Then we get back. Then we got the time she's in plain clothes as an investigator, and she gets her powers back via Black Blade. She's hired to deliver to Japan. Charlotte Ritter rises up as a villain, takes Jessica's power, and leaves her near death, and she teams up with Maddie Franklin to track Ritter down and get her powers back through the intermittently at unreliable times. This leads up to a rival in Avengers, the whole Valkyrie Skull Invasions impersonation Secret Wars storyline, and eventually return to the superhero title of Spider-Woman of 616. After fighting the Skull, she officially becomes part of the Secret Avengers. There was a cartoon series on her too. Okay. So you're a cleaner for for yards and stuff. Okay. Yeah, they have some. I've seen posters and stuff on the poles about people cleaning out backyards. Yeah, yeah. I haven't watched the TV show on the Watchmen. But that back to the Spider Woman there. That used to be there was a cartoon series on that a while back. I have a copy of it. I haven't watched it for a while, so I might have to see if I can dig it up and see if it's any good. But I think it was only I think it was back in the 70s or early 80s that it premiered. Yeah, so I find the whole Spider Woman thing after reading the whole thing. Yeah, here's the cartoon. The cartoon was in 1979. It ran to January 1980. Total of 16 episodes. But yeah, after reading this, it gets confusing. There's so many. Her history is like really long and twisted and changed, and you know, it says here that she has electric bolts, bioelectric energy, just like Miles Morales and the Venom Bless. Yet her ability is more lethal and can kill a person. I like the way she flew. She had those wings under her arms. You know, I guess they were trying to do the early Spider-Man webbings under the arms that she could fly. But yeah, I still like the design of the costume. And ones I read was the Carmine when he drew them. Yeah, because I got some of those early ones. Yeah, I don't see any other stuff here on bounding in the. Yeah, look forward to seeing that Alpha Flight in the movies again, and see if what kind of a job they do with that. Anyway, Sean, I'm gonna call it a day here. I'm gonna have a guest on Saturday. I'll still be announcing. I know it's still a long ways away, but I have a special guest coming out on Saturday, and I'll be putting stuff up on my Facebook personal page anyway about in the next day or two who's coming on. And I'm talking to an artist or no writer, David Brink. So we're going to be talking to him to come in. So anyway, I'm going to take off. You have a good day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And have fun with the new job. All right, take care. Bye-bye.